The Maryland Rental Agreement. In this video, we will tell you about the most noteworthy aspects of rental agreements in the state of Maryland. What is a rental agreement? A rental agreement, or a lease, is a document that outlines the arrangement between two parties regarding a property rental. The one who's paying rent is called a tenant, while the owner of the property, who lets the other party use it under certain conditions, is called a landlord. The parties may also be called a lessor and lessee. Typically, a rental agreement lasts for 6 or 12 months, with rent being paid every month or every week. There is one federal disclosure that works for all lease agreements in the United States. This is called the lead disclosure, and it requires the landlord to tell the tenant about all known lead paint hazards. They should also provide the state-approved version of the pamphlet, Protect Your Family from Lead in Your Home. However, this requirement applies to not all types of residential dwellings. Required disclosures. Apart from the above-mentioned disclosure, the landlord should also disclose to the tenant the names and business addresses of the people who own and are authorized to manage the rental unit. As well as that, before the tenant occupies the premises, they should get along with the lease a written receipt for the security deposit, specifying when the landlord should inspect the premises, when a list of damages must be made, how and when the tenant can get the unused portion of the security deposit, etc. One more disclosure the landlord is responsible for is providing notice that the tenant is responsible for making payments for water or sewer utility services to the landlord unless the latter pays directly to the utility service provider. Security deposits. According to the Maryland Probate Code, the maximum security deposit cannot be more than 2 months' rent. The landlord should return the security deposit within 45 days after the end of the tenancy. The landlord can use the deposit to pay unpaid rent or repair any property damages caused by the tenant. The tenant has the right to be present when the landlord or the landlord's agent inspects the premises for damages. If the landlord fails to return the security deposit, the tenant can get up to tripled withheld amount plus reasonable attorney's fees. Landlord access. The Maryland Probate Code does not set any requirements for the landlord about notifying the tenant before entering the rented apartment. Termination of agreement. In case of tenancies from year to year, notice in writing shall be given 3 months before the expiration of the current year of the tenancy. In case of tenancies from month to month, notice in writing shall be given 1 month before the end of the tenancy. In case of tenancies from week to week, notice in writing shall be given 1 week before the end of the tenancy. Notices for non-compliance and non-payment. Maryland law does not require the landlord to give the tenant any kind of notice before filing an eviction lawsuit with the court. Whenever the tenant fails to pay rent, the landlord is entitled to appeal to the district court of the county wherein the property is situated. If the tenant breaches any other term of the lease, at least a 30-day notice is required. However, if there is clear and imminent danger caused by the tenant, a 14-day notice must be sent to the tenant.